In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Typography 6 Photoshop action. So the way that the action works is you open up your photo, you simply brush over your subject, and just play the action. So here's the effect the action creates, and the results that you get are fully layered. So every element is a single layer, and there's a lot of options for customizing the results. You can use your own text, you can change the font, or make any other text changes, and the action also creates 20% colors that you can choose from. Alright, so just gonna close these two windows. So when you open up your photo, before you use the action, there are just a few things that you should check to make sure that the action will run without any errors. So the first thing that you should check is that your photo is a background layer. So it should be called a background and have this little lock icon. So if you have something like this or anything else, just go to layer, new, and choose a background from layer. And this step will make your photo to be a background layer if it wasn't. Then click on this menu icon over here and choose panel options. And just make sure that this option here, the add copy, the copied layers and groups, is checked. Then go to image mode and make sure your photo is in the RGB color mode 8-bit Canon, and check the image size here. So for best results, you should use it to photos that are around from 20 to 4500 pixels wide or high. Alright, so to load the action, just go to Window, Actions, click on this menu icon over here, Load Actions, and now just choose the action according to your Photoshop version. Select the action file, click Load, and the action folder will appear here in the Actions panel, and you'll find the actions here inside the folder, the Typography 6 action and the Update Text action. So now to load the brush, you can just hit B on your keyboard to select the brush tool, right click anywhere inside the canvas, click on this gear icon, load brushes, and just choose the brush file that can be downloaded, click Load. All the brushes will appear in your brushes panel. And to load the patterns, just select the pattern stamp tool, click on this little arrow over here on the gear icon, load patterns, and just choose the pattern files that can be downloaded, and you will get the patterns will appear in your patterns panel. Right now, what you need to do is just go to layer, new layer to create a new layer. Name it brush, and it's very important that you type all the letters lowercase because otherwise the action won't work. Choose OK. And now you can just hit B on your keyboard, select the brush tool, choose any color here, color doesn't matter, and pick some soft brush. And all you have to do is to just brush over your subject. Just make sure that you brush with the 100% opacity brush, and also that before you play the action, your brush opacity is set 100%. So you can now just brush over your whole subject like this, or you can brush only over a specific area of the subject. Or what you can also do, sometimes it's just easier to make a selection of your subject and then just fill it with the color. So in that case, just select your photo layer or the background layer and choose some of the selection tool. Just going to use the quick selection tool, and in this case for me it's easier to select the background, so just going to select the background like this, and you can use the Alt option buttons to and Shift button to just add some areas to the selection or remove some areas from the selection. And after you make a perfect selection of the background, you can just hit on your keyboard Command Control or Command Shift I to inverse the selection, and then just go to Select, Modify, Smooth, and just going to smooth the selection for about 5 pixels, and I'm going to contract the selection a little bit for 10 pixels, and just gonna a little bit feather the selection for 10 pixels, and then just select your brush layer and press Shift F5 on the keyboard and fill it to fill the selection with a foreground color, and just press Ctrl or Command D to deselect. So what is important is that you have this color fill on your brush layer. It doesn't matter if you brushed your photo or fill the selection, just make sure you got these color fill on your brush layer. And now you can just brush over your whole subject, or you can then just choose the eraser tool, pick some soft brush, and then just erase some areas to apply the effect on or the specific area of the subject. I'm just gonna open my PSD file because I already done the brushing before. So once more, it's important that you have this color fill on your brush layer like this. Alright, and I'm just gonna do one more thing before I play the action, and I'm going to expand the canvas size a little bit. So as you can see, I got the very small amount of space here above the brushed area. So if I want to have typography effect will be created over and all around these brushed areas. So I'm just going to expand the canvas size a little bit here. So just going to go to Image, Canvas Size, just like this. Click here. So I'm going to expand the canvas only on the top, and just going to expand it for about 200 pixels. I'll choose OK, just like this. And it's always better that you have more space because you'll be able to easily crop the image later. So that's it, and all you have to do now is just select the typography 6 section and click play. And I'm going to fasten the video here, and I'm going to get back as soon as the action is finished, and then I'm going to go throughout all the layers to show you how each layer works, how it affects the design, and how can you customize it. Okay, so the action has just finished, so just going to close the actions panel for now, and just going to expand a little bit this layers panel. So the first thing that you probably want to do each time you run the action is to just quickly close down all these folders. So how to quickly do that? Just hold Control and Alt buttons for PC or Command Option for Mac, and just click on this little arrow here while this folder is selected, and that way just going to close down all the folders. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hide all the layers, and then I'm going to start them on one by one, because in that way you'll best understand how each layer works and how it affects the design and how can you customize it. So I'm just going to hide all these layers. And the first layer that we got here is the background color layer, and you can just double click on this color box here, and you can choose any color that you like. And here we got the background texture. So this is just some paper texture, and you can, if you wish, you can just change the opacity of these textures. So just click on the word opacity and drag it aside. So for all these layers that you customize by changing the opacity, you can change the opacity either by clicking on the word opacity and then just dragging it aside like this, or you can just click on this arrow here and then move the slider around. Alright? And here we got the background lighting. So as you can see, what this layer does, it creates the light source on the middle and going to darken the edges. And you can also change this opacity, or you can just double click here and then change the style of the gradient fill layer to make lighting to be linear or radial, so you can, or reflective or any other. You can also change the angle, or you can scale the light source and other. I'm just gonna keep it default. So I'm just gonna move to this folder here. It's the subject text, right? So just gonna turn it on. I'm just gonna open the folder and just gonna hide all these layers. Right. So as you can see, the subject text is a fully layered effect. So, and each of these layers is a different shape and reveals different the subject. So what you can do is you can just change the opacity or the fill opacity for any of these layers. Each of them is going to create a different shape, so it's going to create a different effect. And also, as you can see, each of these layers has these layer masks. So if you wish to remove some of these layers, you can simply hide the layer. For example, if you wish to remove some parts of typography here, you can just hide the specific layer that contains that typography part. Or what you can do is to just select the layer mask for that layer and then just brush with set foreground color to black and pick the soft brush and just brush over, and you're going to remove that layer over the areas where you brush. Or you can just select this main layer mask that is going to remove any of the subject text layers wherever you brush with the black. Or if you have removed some parts of the typography you wish to make it visible again, then just brush with the white color over. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna increase a little bit the fill of this layer just to reveal a bit more details of the subject. And also each of these text layers, and also here you'll see later the edge text and the background text layers has this pattern overlay, and that's actually this typography effect. So you can double click on this pattern or style, and here you can change the opacity, you can change the pattern, you can scale the pattern, you can just move it around so you get some different other parts of text visible on this layer area, right? And so just gonna lower the opacity of this one a little bit, and now what we got here is the folder that reveal more details. So as you can see, this folder is going to reveal your subject details. So just gonna open the folder, and here we got two folders inside: the reveal more details text and the reveal more details shapes. So just gonna hide the shapes for now. All right, so I'm also gonna hide these layers and just gonna start in one by one. So as you can see, each of these layers is going to reveal a different part of your subject. All right, and you can also change the fill or the opacity. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to increase the fill of this one a little bit, and when you just double click on this layer mask, you will see on which areas where we got a white color this layer is visible. So this layer creates the power effect over these white areas. All right, so that way you can know which layer creates each layer creates typography effect, right? So this one creates only over these areas, all right, and so other. So I'm just going to drop down a little bit opacity to this one. All right, and also you can brush with a black color into any of these layer masks to remove that layer on the areas where you brush, or you can just brush into this main layer mask, and with a black you're gonna remove it. All of these reveal more details text layers where you brush, and you can then just brush with a white to make them visible again on those areas. All right. So next what we got here is the reveal more detailed shapes. So it's also layered. So these layers, the folder that I got shapes in name, not the text but the shapes, don't have the typography effect. They just have the shapes and do not have the typography effect. So it is the same with these other layers. As you can see, the edge shapes got only shapes, and the background shapes are only shapes, so they are without typography effect. And so these more detail shapes is going to reveal more details of your subject. And what you can do if you wish to just move this layer around, you'll see that it's got these edges. So these layers reveals these edges of the subject. And what you can do is, if you wish to reveal more edges somewhere, you can just select this layer thumbnail, choose the brush tool, set foreground color to black. I'm just gonna drop down opacity to about 50, and you can just brush or just if you wish to reveal more the edges. All right, just like this. Okay, and you can also experiment with the opacities for each of these layers. So just gonna close down all these folders. So these were the subject text folders. So now the next folder we got here are the subject shapes. So they're also layered, and you can just play also with the opacity of these layers, or hide some of the layers if you want. They're just going to reveal a bit more details of your subject. So these are just the shapes that don't have the typography effect. Alright, so next we got here is the edge text. Alright, so these are the text layers created around the edge of your subject, or actually around your brushed area. Alright, so just gonna open the folder, and so each of these text layers in all these folders have this pattern overlay. So you can just move around this text, or show here a little bit more visible. So if you wish to have some specific text visible in some area, you can just move it using the move tool. So just click and drag to move the pattern, and you can also scale it here if you like. right? So I'm going to hide these two layers. All right, in this example, just like that. And these layers here don't have a layer mask, so if you wish to remove some specific part of this layer, you just click here to add the layer mask. Choose the brush tool, set foreground color to black, pick a soft brush, and you're just gonna brush over some areas where I wish to remove this layer, and I'm just gonna brush a little bit more like here, and I'm gonna add the layer mask on this one as well. Alright, just like that. And just gonna proceed to the next folder. So next folder we got are the edge shapes. Alright, so just hide all the layers. So I'm just gonna hide in this folder, also gonna hide these two layers. So these are the horizontal shapes. Just gonna hide them as I'm not going to use them in this example. And just gonna add the layer mask on this one. Just brush a little bit. Just like this. And I'm going to create a layer mask on this one as well. Just to remove some of the details of the shapes. Okay. And I'm just gonna get back to this folder. Just gonna remove this shape a little bit over here. The text shape, right? So that's it. So the next folder we got here is the background text. So as you can see, this folder got the text layers created all over around the subject, and this folder also got this layer mask. So this layer mask is removing the background text layer from the subject, so it's not visible in the subject area. If you just disable the layer mask, it's going to be visible all over the subject as well. So what you can do also is to open the properties panel. You can just go to window properties and just change the density if you like, just to make, for example, you wish to make this background text slightly visible over your subject, just lower a bit this density, just like this, right? So as you can see here, we got another folder that are the background text blurred. So these are the all blurred text around, and if you wish to make some specific changes to these blurred text, what you can do is just double click this layer thumbnail to open the smart object. Now here you can adjust the pattern overlay, any changes if you like, and just press Ctrl Command Save, close this window, and the changes will be automatically applied here to this layer. And you can also double click on here on the Gaussian blur to change the amount of blur if you like that's applied to these layers. So as you can see, these three layers here are giving them a lot of details. So I'm just gonna remove some of these background text layers, some areas that are just have too much density. Alright, so I'm just gonna create a layer mask on this one. Just gonna brush like this. Alright, and I'm just gonna lower a little bit the opacity of the whole background text folder. Just like that. And just gonna lower this one a little bit. Okay, just like that. just gonna open this folder here. And I'm gonna brush, I'm gonna add a layer mask on this layer. Just gonna brush for this or this text part. Okay. So you can brush with the white or the areas we wish to make it visible again. Okay, and the next folder we got is the background shapes. So just gonna turn it on. And it's also layered. You also got these blurred shapes. Alright, so I'm just gonna lower the opacity a little bit of these blurred shapes layers. And maybe a bit of the whole folder. Alright, and this layer also has this layer mask, so if you just shift click on this layer mask, you're gonna make these shapes visible over the subject as well. Alright, so just gonna keep everything like this. So just gonna remove a little bit more of the text. Over this area here. And just gonna check, brush a little bit over here. Okay, that's it. So we're just gonna close down all these folders, and the next layer we got here is the extend original color layer, and we got to use original photo colors. So when you turn on this layer, your subject is going to have the original photo colors. So you can here adjust the opacity if you like. Alright, I'm just gonna keep it as default, and this layer here, if you turn it on, is going to extend the original subject colors all around, so they applied over the text around the subject as well. So I'm going to just lower the opacity of this layer, just like this. And this layer also has a layer mask, so you can just apply this layer over only specific area. For example, if you just brush with the black here, you can remove it over the specific area if you like. So here we got a color looks, and as I have mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can choose from 20 color looks. So you can, all you have to do is to just select some of the color looks, turn it on, see how it looks. If you don't like it, simply try with another until you find the one that goes best with your photo. Alright, and I'm just gonna choose this one here. And what you can also do is combine a few color looks. So for example, turn on this one and then play, just turn on another one, then just play with these opacities of the several color looks and create some unique color look. Alright, and the next layer we got here is the randomize colors layer. So if you wish to randomize all the colors in the photo, you can just double click here and then just change the hue value. Alright, just like that. And the next layer we got is the overall contrast. So you can just gonna turn it on, and the way you change the contrast is you just click on the word opacity and then just drag it aside, or as I have mentioned at the beginning, you can just move this slider around. So you customize change the contrast by changing the opacity. All right, and here we got the overall saturation. So when you double click here in the properties panel, you can adjust the saturation. All right, and the next layer we got here is the overall brightness. You can just double click here and then move around these sliders. We got these 5 sliders. So this one, if you move this one, it's going to boost the shadows. This one is for boosting the highlights. If you move this one, it's going to fade the shadows. This one is going to fade the highlights, and this one affects the midtones. Right. And finally, here we got the overall sharpening layer. So what this layer does, it creates the sharpening effect. But if I move it around, you might see that this layer, you see all these lines. So this layer that are the edges of your photo, that are giving the sharpening. But if you make any changes to the design, you change the font, you remove some text and other, you have to update this layer, the sharpening layer as well, because you have to update all these edges and other. So what you need to do is to just press delete this layer and press Ctrl Alt Shift and D or Command Alt Shift D on your keyboard to make a screenshot, and then just press Ctrl or Command Shift U to desaturate the photo and go to Filter, Other, High Pass, Set Radius to 2 pixels, and just change the blending mode of this layer to soft light. Then you can change the amount of sharpening by changing the opacity if you like. Alright, so that's it. We got one more layer here. So we got a brush layer, and the reason why I got this layer here, brush layer here, is because the action is made so every time you run the action, you will get unique result, even if you use the same brush area. So if you just delete this folder and play the action again, you will get some unique typography information. You always get some unique variation. So that's why I got this brush layer here, and I'm going to show you how can you change this text with your own text, your own font and other. So just open the text PSD file that can be downloaded, and you will get some random text. You can just select the type tool, click here, and just type your own text, right? So it's just gonna keep this default text, and just gonna change the font, and it's just gonna increase the font size a little bit, and I'm going to go to Window, Character. Just gonna change the spacing between the lines, and just going to center the text. If you wish, you can just crop this PSD file. You don't have to use so much text. You can just use some specific much smaller amount of text, so it doesn't matter. And I'm just gonna now go to, after you finish with customizing the text, just go to Edit and choose Define Pattern, and you can name this pattern however you want. You're just gonna keep the full name, and that's it. You can then just gonna close this file, and now just open the folder Typography 6 and select the Update Text action and click Play. And here we got the message. It says, in the next pop-up window, select the text pattern that you want to use for the selected layer. After you select the pattern, choose OK, and the action will move on the next layer until you confirm the pattern for all remaining layers. Please check the video tutorial if you need any help here. Choose Continue to proceed. So choose Continue, and the action will keep selecting one by one all the layers that includes typography to ask you to choose the pattern that you like. So just going to choose this one, say just define, and you can use different pattern for every layer. I'm just going to use this same. So as you can see, just selecting all the layers one by one. You can make any changes here, like scale and other if you like. And what's more, you can define many different patterns here, and then use a different typography pattern for each layer if you like. So I'll be using the same, right? So now we got these blurred typography layers, so they actually have to open the smart object in order to make changes to the text. Alright, so now we are choosing the pattern for edge text. Alright, now we got only more reveal more details layers. So you can see here how the text changes right now. And that's it. So as you can see, the action has just updated the text. And now if you like, you can just double click on any of these layers and then just move them around if you wish to reveal some other part of your text on some specific areas. You can just click and drag to move it around or make any other changes to any of these layers if you like. So now what I'm going to do is just going to update the sharpening layer again because I have changed the font. So just going to press Control Alt Shift and D or Command Option Shift and D to make a screenshot, and then Control Command Shift U to desaturate the photo. Then go to Filter, Other, High Pass, saturate as 2 pixels, change the blending mode to soft light, and that's it. So just gonna select the crop tool, just gonna crop the image a little bit on this side, a little bit over here, just like that. Just gonna hit enter. So that's why it's always better to have more space around your subject because you can easily crop the image later. And that's it. So let's just quickly check the before and after. So this is the before and this is the after effect. Alright, so I hope you understood everything, but if you still need any help or you got any questions, feel free to contact me anytime via my Envato profile page. Thanks for watching.